2, 1. We're live.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah, man. It's the continuation of the birthday celebration.
Wait, it was somebody's birthday? Whose birthday?
Oh my gosh. Me.
You. All right.
All that cheese. All that cheese.
All that cheese?
I know, and did a whole
Hmm.
lot. And I'll tell you a little bit about it right after this. Yay!
So I'm hearing it was somebody's birthday over the weekend. Dun, 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 breaking news. So yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Birthday was on Earth Day. and we welcome
Birthday was on Earth Day.
it was right. And we welcome back Mr. Springer.
Mr. Springer, welcome back. Hey,
He's
hey.
back. He's
Yeah,
back.
congratulations. Hey, you know what? I will admit when I am wrong, apparently the Mets heard me talking about them, and they decided to go on some kind of unprecedented win streak there. So maybe it's not an affliction to be a Mets fan, at least not right now. All right, okay. Props to the New York Mets. Something I'll never say again. So good
Oh,
going to New York Mets.
all right. And
Way to
before
be
too
the
many
pride of the
shots,
city.
before there's too many shots fired, let's take care of some business. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Booked and Busy Bookkeeping Services. And let me go ahead and get to the part where I need to read. Where is it at? Oh yeah, there it is.
Right
Book them,
there.
book them for a 30-minute free consultation today. Contact them by calling 862-251-8503 or go to bookedandbusybookkeeping.com. See, that's a whole bunch of words to say right there. Busy bookkeeping, bookkeeping. Yeah, there you go.
That's why you got a voice and I'm not. Ha
And Kevin's giving us some hellos. I thank you so very, very much.
hey, hey.
Oh my gosh, this
Better
is
than
my
myself.
cousin. Hey, hi cousin, my cousin Joseph.
Hey, yeah, there
He's
we go.
yeah,
Gotta get that birthday love.
I'm taking all the birthday love to the end of the week, all the way. I celebrate the rest of the week of April.
That's nice.
The rest of the week, that's how it works. So, what did you do over the weekend, Mr. Wamble?
What did I do? I kept my head above water and I made a way when I could. That's what I did.
Made a way out of no way, huh?
Keeping your head above water. By great contrast, tell us about your weekend.
Well, I got a chance to go to the spa, which is something I don't get a chance to do too often.
The spa?
Hmm
The
It
spa?
was
Did you get a mud bath at the
absolutely
spa?
not because that requires you to get dirty to get clean. So no, 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 I didn't do that. What I did was I had a pedicure. So my feet have not been touched in that caring, loving mode since the 90s. So I'm very happy that I was
This
able to
Pulp
go.
Fiction?
Huh?
I said since Pulp Fiction, yeah, now your feet
Yeah,
touch.
yeah. No one's touched these fit, and it was Pulp Fiction that they were even allowed to. Hey, it was just beautiful, and went out with a few friends over the weekend as well, and I felt the love. I got some flowers. I just felt the love from everywhere. It was really
Got the
beautiful. So thank
love.
everybody for the birthday love. It was beautiful. Birthday love, birthday love.
Birthday
Worship.
love. Birthday love. So birthday. There's a R&B birthday song. Birthday. I don't know how that goes.
Well,
Some Jeremiah, I think.
I,
Anyway, so it was a good birthday.
it was a good birthday. But let's jump into this because you've been telling me about this for at least 2 weeks. You had mentioned it, I think,
Telling you
last
about
week.
something for. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we talking about? Twitter?
No, we're going to jump right over that. We're talking about the first lady. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the first lady. Can we bring back up the first
The
lady?
first
Okay.
lady.
We already know who our sponsor is.
Yeah, we know
Okay.
the first lady of Booked and Busy is. We know who that first lady is. We're looking at the other first ladies. Other
Right.
first ladies. There they are.
Yeah, there you go. So we have
The
Michelle
Flotuses.
Pfeiffer playing Betty
Yeah.
Ford. We have Gillian Anderson from
Jillian
X,
Anderson. That's right.
yeah,
Yep.
from X Files fame, and then
The
executive
Crown.
producer and person portraying Michelle Obama. We have Viola Davis. So
Miss Viola Davis. Yes,
I'm I'm,
absolutely.
I'm just gonna ask in the chat, have you seen this Showtime series? And Michael, what did you think?
Oh, we just go right there, huh?
Oh, we're
Okay.
gonna go right there. We're
Okay.
gonna go right there.
Well, the portrayal that's getting the most attention is the portrayal of, and that's a great shot because she's doing it right in the picture. She got the lips going right there. So the portrayal that's getting the most attention out of this drama that's on Showtime called The First Lady is Viola Davis's portrayal of Michelle Obama, which, by contrast to the other women featured in the show, she is the person that is still alive and the closest person closest to our lives and also to our sensibilities. We saw Michelle Obama at least up close during those seemingly almost like 10 years that she was intensely in the public eye, the year running up to her husband's historic election to the presidency, as well as that kind of that last year, kind of as they came out of office. And that's a real good shot. That's Viola with the young women and the person that plays her mother, who plays the mother of Michelle Obama, and that's the great actress and playwright Regina Taylor. And then you see the also the young actresses there with her. So Viola Davis put this together. This is like coming from her. She's the executive producer on this project called The First Lady. It's one of several things that she had debuted over the last week or so, but it's the one that's getting the most attention right now. People have been uncharacteristically critical of Viola Davis in her acting and her portrayal of Michelle Obama, to the point where I don't think Viola Davis has ever received this type of criticism before, and she's not responding to it very well. She is just recently actually commented on it. I believe it was today or late yesterday, saying that critics kind of have no role. They don't do anything. They're not helpful. They don't add anything to art, which is kind of typical, like what you would hear from someone who is for the first time not getting flowers for their work, because those are the same critics that propel Viola Davis to the point where she has enough pull and financial wherewithal to produce a show like this.
Right.
So, I mean, people have been saying she's one of the best actresses of our time over the last several years. Those are the same critics. So, sorry. I mean, this isn't that great. I think she can admit that this isn't her best work. It is still interesting. It's still worth watching. It gives you insight, a different take on these women who are there either alongside or supporting, at the time, the most powerful man on earth, of the Western world at least.
Exactly.
So I think it's good. I think it's overall, I mean, she's not perfect and this isn't her best work. So her best work, hopefully, is still yet to come. What do you think, Val?
Well, I did enjoy what I saw. I was a little. I love to say and hello keto cooking with what's up Jose, one of our former guests. I was a little aggravated with the jumping around, and they kind of show the
Hmm.
jumping around by showing the years. So just when I was getting caught up with, let's say, the Betty Ford, and they pick very interesting times between, what do you call that? They pick very interesting times to talk about what they focus in on. Now, I think the first episode, it was the Obamas was just coming into being in the White House, and then they did 2 years prior when they were running. And I know how they're trying to make those connections, and I get it. It's just that when I started to really get into the story of whatever first lady they were talking about, Michelle Pfeiffer as Betty Ford, Gillian Anderson as Eleanor Roosevelt, they cut away. And I felt a little jarred about that. So I don't know. All I know is that there were a couple of moments when she wasn't pursing her lips. Time of kind of those relaxed moments when she was playing, kind of laying in his arms, or they were kind of relaxed or whatever, and she didn't look like she was doing it. And to me, I was like, oh, okay, she's not doing it there. It's good, but it was distracting, and it has to do with Viola Davis's actual size of her lips. They're a little bit thicker than Michelle Obama's lips, which is fine. I mean, but I feel like her portrayal of Michelle was good. I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I'm a little distracted, but I was more distracted about the jumping around to the different stories. And some jumping around made sense, and then others I was like, that's my take on it. We're 2 episodes in. This started 2 weeks ago. Is that correct? It's every Sunday on Showtime. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, that is
Hmm.
correct. Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel I am such a Viola Davis fan. I was watching How to Get Away with Murder. I've seen her on Broadway. There's a lot of things that I've experienced with Viola Davis, and so you're right. If this isn't the best, it's fine. It's fine, and we're all attached. A lot of us are loving and we're attached to Michelle Obama. So I don't know if Michael, do you feel like it was too soon for Michelle Obama to be portrayed, or should we have waited a couple of more years? I don't know.
I don't think it's a good role for Viola Davis.
Okay.
But I don't think that. I think that what she brings to this role, it doesn't work. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Mm.
I don't really have a problem with the twisty mouth as Black Twitter and the internet has
Yeah,
kind of gone
they
off
were.
on. Because if you look at Michelle Obama during that time, she has twisty mouth. She would do
Hmm.
that to her face. She would contort her face. She let you know exactly how she felt. You didn't have to always hear her articulate it into words. Sometimes you could just read that woman's face, and she let you know, and I'm sure she let Barack know exactly how she felt at different times during the campaign, as they entered the White House, as she had to deal with former Chicago mayor and former chief of staff Rahm Emanuel,
Hmm.
who is a delight to no one. So yeah, I mean, I believe it. I can see that she was studying her and wanted to bring something close to what she saw to the screen. I just don't think people appreciate it because we have this idea, this idealized view of Michelle Obama as if she can floaters can float, and anything short of that, bringing kind of reality to the story is not what people want. They want the fantasy, and especially now, post Obama White House, people are longing. I mean, my goodness, in 10 years, Val, that would we're gonna look back at that as thinking that that's like the most beautiful time in America ever. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Given given the last what is it now, almost 8 years since he left office,
Yeah.
and these two mopes that are there now, the one that was there right after, ooh, wow, that was a nightmare. And then now the guy that we need to kind of wake up. So we got these two guys coming after. I mean, by contrast, the Obamas look amazing compared to the Trumps and the Bidens. Goodness.
Okay, well let's go to the chat. Mark Lee said, let me get to what he said earlier. He says needed another actress to portray it, so he agrees with you.
But you're
And then
not going to get
Kevin,
another actress because that's her project.
okay,
That's Viola Davis's project. She's going to cast Viola Davis in the title role. That's why you do a project like that.
right. And Kevin says, my wife and I were watching the Netflix special on Oprah and Viola. It was mind opening.
There you go.
And Viola dealt with a lot of struggles during her childhood. Viola also has a book out. Yeah, she has a book out I literally just watched that just before I came on, Kevin. I literally just watched that
What'd you
interview.
think of it? What'd you think of it?
As always, Oprah, it's in her head. I never see any cards. She's always just coming with it. I read this book, buy it for your friend. And of course, she's talking with Gail. So things were very relaxed. Everybody had their flats on, was chilling. And I just loved how Viola literally just talked about therapy, what she's gone through, just kind of that whole, this is what happened in my childhood, and how she's been dealing with it. And to me, it definitely comments on how she's portrayed roles. And she said that the role of How to Get Away with Murder was life changing because it showed her as desirable, as sexual, as someone that people could, go and want for, because in her childhood, she was called the Black N word and chased by people. And she grew up in Rhode Island, which to me is as north and possibly non-black as I can think in the
Maine.
70s. So 60s,
Maine.
70s. Oh, it's Maine? Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, Maine is a little bit farther north and a lot wider.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know. It's just but anyway, that's a great interview to see on Netflix. But
Hey, Don, what'd you think about her praying for her husband?
Oh yeah. Well, I was inspired on my birthday. I was inspired on my birthday on Friday. I prayed. Yes, I did, because I was able to stay away. And I says, I'm gonna follow Viola. I'm gonna pray for somebody. Now,
Big black man?
I don't know about all that. I'm not gonna give my details.
Well, Viola was specific.
Yes, she was. She prayed for a big black man. Yes, she did.
She wanted a big black man, and
Yeah.
that is what God gave her.
Yes.
Now, she did not pray to do a great job in the First Lady, so maybe she should have added that in too.
All right. Well, if you've seen The First Lady, it's on Showtime. It's coming out every Sunday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to move on to our next situation. I'm trying to
our next situation.
Our next situation. So I think you told me about this. You sent me an article about the man who fell to earth, and this is Chidue Ifora, English actor. Yeah, an English actor that we've seen in 12 Years as a Slave. We've seen him in the Marvel Universe. Naomi Harris was an Academy Award-winning Moonlight. I love her. She's done James Bond. So seeing two English actors with American accents, but because Chidue is playing an alien, he could jump into an English accent whenever he wants to because he's an alien. This is a very interesting remake, and it's a series remake. What do you know about The Man Who Fell to Earth? What do you know about it?
Well, it's originally it is a movie series that there you're going to going back to the original. Most people, if you are not familiar with the book, you may be familiar with the original movie portrayal, which was the thin white dude. himself, David Bowie, portrayed this alien who comes to Earth, has this mission to try to save his home planet. So in that way, it kind of goes back to this older science fiction story. What they've done is they've added this other dimension to it, and now you're getting, which I think is pretty much the hot thing right now. I mean, of
Yeah.
all the things going on in the world, we could talk about one of the more interesting things, at least for me, is the foray of African Americans and people of color into science fiction. It is everywhere, and this is certainly trying to benefit off of that. Okay, so the fact that you have this actor playing that role in this way adds a different dimension to it. It's not something that we've never seen before. About like 40 years ago, there was this wonderful movie by John Sayles called Brother from Another Planet, which
Yes.
starred Papa Pope,
Yeah.
Joe Morton
Joe Morton.
in
Hmm.
that role where he doesn't speak. He is African American, I guess, black on the outside, but he is actually an alien. And the way that people interact with him is as they would interact with any black man. But because he has come to Earth, he doesn't know the particulars of the idiocracy of racism. So this is all new to him. And you're beginning to see some elements early on in the series, but as I've read more about it and looked at it, they're going to kind of drift away to that and kind of give this more of a way in which it explains technology and some of the shortcomings that we have, some things that we need to address. Since it's dystopian in its view as part of science fiction, it's a warning to us that we need to do some things to correct our planet, or else we might end up like this title character's home planet in need of being rescued. So, so far it's okay.
Yeah.
I'd hoped, at least in the premiere, the first episode, to see something a little bit more exciting. It is interesting, and but having that background, knowing that this is sort of the trend, following shows like Lovecraft Country and the popularity of it last year or a year and a half ago on HBO, that
Yes.
we're going to see more African Americans and people of color in science fiction. I mean, we've always been there. We've been there at the Comic Cons. We've been there on these periphery roles all the way going back to Star Trek, right? With Uhuru. So we've been there, and you see writers, some of the newer writers, but they're all coming on the shoulders, building off the shoulders of someone like Octavia E. Butler. So now we're seeing more of that. Even a writer like Walter Mosley, who has written detective books and is known best for like the Easy Violence and some of his other stories. He's written science fiction. So African Americans, people of color in science fiction is something that we're going to see more of, and that's where we are. Oh, and there's my guy.
And that transitions us to now the Man Who Fell from Earth. That is also airing on Showtime on Sundays. So it's only one episode in, so you guys can catch up. But now I throw this out here. Walter Mosley, a very talented writer. Michael, what can you tell us about Walter? Because I met him in person. He
Ah,
signed he
yes,
signed he signed one of my books.
wonderful.
But
Yeah,
what is your experience with Mr. Mosley?
I think that he would be much more of a household name if more of his projects early on had received the Hollywood treatment that most successful writers receive, but he didn't. Um, he is the author of the Easy Rollins series, which were incredibly popular books almost now years ago. Denzel Washington portrayed Easy Rollins in a movie
Mhm.
that still stands the test of time and sadly was never followed up. The movie was called The Devil in the Blue Dress.
Yeah, it's
Featured
right over
Denzel
here.
Washington as Easy Rollins.
Mhm.
It featured a young Don Cheadle as Mouse, and some of those same characters followed through on the successive Easy Rollins books. And you would have thought that after the success of that movie, which had an African American director, which had African American stars, which was written based off of a book by an African American, that we would have seen more of it, but we didn't. It took many years later to see Walter Mosley's work come to HBO with Outgunned, Outnumbered,
Mm-hmm.
in there, and now we see on Apple someone with the stature of a Samuel L. Jackson can bring to life one of his better later stories, Last Days of Ptolemy Gray, which is exceptional. It's there. It's available on Apple Plus. All the episodes are there, so if you start the series, you can see it from the beginning to end. And it is an amazing work. It has to do with memory, and it has to do with kind of the journey of this character who takes us all the way back to sharecropping time to contemporary world we're in.
Yeah. So I wanted to. Oh, Mark, thank you for that. Walter Mosley is
One of my favorites.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
one of
Both
my
of mine.
favorites. And then, of course, over on Facebook, yeah, I remember Walter commenting
Oh, I
on
don't.
how Octavia Butler is one of his favorites because authors are people that they're
Yes, I get to teach her in my class, so I'm
aha
excited by that. So we've
yeah.
learned a
So
lot about her this year.
So I will say this about the series, and I wonderful that Samuel Jackson. It now this book was written back, I want to say in 2009, was released in 2010, and I love that Samuel Jackson wanted to specifically work with Walter Mosley and bring this character Gray to life. Now, one thing I'll say, Mosley said about his book that the gentleman's been living in his apartment for maybe 60 years. He's around 90, 91 years old, and he's been living there since he turned 30. And ironically, Michael, I moved to New York, and guess how old I was when I moved into my apartment. I was 30. So I related in that thing. But the one thing that I will say is that the set design, everything, they got it right. Junky apartment, just everything is in there. And Samuel L. Jackson portrays this character so well. And I don't want to, for folks that haven't seen the series, just it's on Apple TV. I was really impressed with the cast, just everyone that's involved with it. And then
Which
of course this is
includes Dominique Fishback, and there she is.
Dominique
Oh my
Fishback.
goodness,
Yeah.
this young lady. This
Mhm.
young lady. This is a young lady that Dominique Fishback and Samuel L. Jackson share the screen on most of this series. If her face looks a little familiar to you, that's because you saw her portrayal in Judas and the Black Messiah
Mhm.
as Fred's wife, right? And she was amazing in that role. Pretty much everything I've seen her in, she has been extraordinary, and it continues in the last days of Ptolemy Gray.
Right. So that's the
Casting in
entire
this is exceptional.
that's the entire cast right there, and they were phenomenal. So I definitely just want to go ahead and just recommend this to please go check it out. I actually would like to read the book now because I think Sam and his wife Latanya they're
Yeah, they are.
responsible for
The
trying to
Jacksons.
for producing this. And Sam, guess how long he had been trying to produce this script?
How long?
Almost a decade. Almost a decade. So and it's I'm grateful that it ended up being a series instead of a jam-packed 2-hour film because there were going to be some things that were going to be missed. So bravo to Sam and his wife for bringing such a great story. So the last days of Fun and Gray on Apple TV, all 6 episodes. It's six, right? All 6 episodes are available and up on Apple, right?
They are available on Apple Plus, so you should be able to see that either on your big screen or on the smaller screen that you have there. It's currently streaming now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we're at
yes,
the yeah, so we're at the bottom of the hour. So let me go ahead and pivot because I understand we have our guy.
pivot.
to talk about some sports, come on. Yes, pivot. You know what I'm saying.
Pivot.
It's Coach Tony.
Hey,
Coach Tony.
that's the new show, Pivot, by the way. That's the new show. Man, hey, you're going to be a good ball player. Tell Mike you better know how to pivot.
Exactly. That was my point there. At least somebody understood what I was saying. That's good.
Hey man,
Yeah.
hey, we gotta get it cracking down here, man. I tell you, it's been absolutely nuts. Just getting off the road, under the weather a little bit, but still here with the family. Make sure I do my thing with you guys. Love you much. Sending my big shout out to my program. I got a lot of people I reached out to over the weekend. Make sure they're tuned in, and whatnot. Where Kevin at? Where Kevin? When he got to be in the house,
here.
man.
He said, okay. Coach Tony is in the house.
What's up, baby?
That's right.
Appreciate what you do, man. We got a lot of news out here tonight. Mike, what you want to talk about?
Well,
first of all, yes, we got to get started because I told you them Bulls going to get a game, did I not?
Yeah,
you did. You told me they were going to get a game, and that's what they got. They got a game.
Hey, now I'm still rocking the gear though, Val. Where you at? Look, even got the shirt on, Val. Where you at?
I have on red to honor the Bulls.
Oh my God, Mike, we got to work on that, Mike.
Well, you know what? I mean, Coach, it seems like sadly, you're gonna be in the same position as Zach LaVine. You'll be watching from the sideline. My goodness.
I'm gonna give her a little credit, Mike, because I did get a chance to touch base with her on her birthday. She was laid up taking care of that knee, man. That knee was bothering her. So,
Yeah, well.
She was walking, she was a wounded soldier, man.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, the other story is I did give credit to now note that I did say some positive things about New York starting the show. I talked about the Nets doing well. Now we can talk about the other team, the Nets. Net zero. Pretty much, right?
Hey, I'm gonna give you a crazy stat. So they should have been listening to me for fun purposes only, as you always say, right? So Vegas had the Nets, which bowed out first round in the championship game, and they had the Lakers making the playoffs. So go figure. We're gonna laugh at that. Hey, and I told you we're gonna be there. Both my teams are just steamboating and still rolling, baby.
And those teams are once again
Phoenix Suns out the west and the Milwaukee Bucks out the east.
Yeah, the Milwaukee Bucks they got a little bit of rest in this first round. They got to play the Bulls. The Suns, you still as confident on the Suns?
Still confident, they doing, they resting some guys, as much as they can. Chris Paul gonna be Chris Paul. Devin's gonna show up, and he's shooting lights out right now. I just don't think that no one in the West, unless it's Golden State, can really match that firepower Phoenix, to Golden State. That's gonna be a great Western final. Speaking of
Golden State,
the surprise team is got to be none other than the Boston Celtics, man.
Oh,
what is going on? What now? Okay, so in that series, okay, Coach, do you give credit to what the Celtics did, or is this just a Nets implosion?
Implosion.
Yeah. That team was awful. That team was awful, and it didn't be that bad.
Hey, I'm gonna put it to you like Jason Tatum said. He knew that KD gonna be KD, right? Okay. And then we got to figure out which Kyrie gonna show up, right?
Wow.
Right. Okay. Now, depending on that, because you either gonna get the Kyrie that's going to show up and going to play ball because he's ready to play, or you're gonna get the pissed off Kyrie that that Kyrie that just got fined $50,000, to pay, and now is he mentally back in that game? Durant was ready. Durant dropped what, 40-something, 30-something, 40-something. So he came to do what Durant does. But the big key was Jason Tatum, man. If this kid is about to be, now you got to look at the Celtics, right? At the Birdman, handing it down to Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen now, who then handed it down to Paul Pierce, who now about to hand it down to Jason Tatum, because this kid is next level right now, man. He's a one contract from being a $200-300 million man.
And how does that happen? I mean, there's if you only the flat. Oh, we gonna go there with Kyrie? Really? Okay, so there's no way that Jason Tatum should be able to do that against that Nets team. Coach, can I give you some credit, Coach? Can I give you a little bit of credit? Not everybody can coach.
Right.
Just because you've been a former MVP in the league, just because you know what you would do if you had the ball and you were leading the fast break, doesn't mean you can coach. Does it, Coach?
Well, I'm gonna put one person out there for you, and you're gonna laugh about who tried to do that with the Lakers.
Recently with the
you say my Magic?
Magic?
Ding, 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 ding. Magic. He tried to coach. He was terrible, even though he was Showtime, baby. And then he tried to jump on the microphone. It was even worse. Right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Oh, and not even, don't even mention that like late night show.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
You remember that, Val?
I do.
And the only reason he came from the late night show was why, Mike? Because he was trying to do like his boy Arsenio Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it just did. So, if the Nets had any coach, they could have at least won one game, don't you think?
Well,
I think instead of the players, I know the NBA is a players' league. I understand that to a point. However, they got swept.
Yeah, they got swept. At least my Bulls didn't get swept. We hurt, right? So out for the year. So I can deflect to what Charles Barkley said, and I can respect what Barkley said the other night. He said, when people coming around going to talk about Steve Nash is garbage. Mm-hmm. You got to look what he had to work with down the stretch, right? He gets Kyrie, who could not play in New York City until basically the playoffs. So he missed, 40 games, basically?
That's half the season.
Yeah, half the season, because 40 at home, 40 on the road, then you got the All-Star break. So he misses half the season because it was a personal decision on himself, and then they lifted the ban, and then obviously he gets to play. So now you try to fit him back in. In the meanwhile, they give up the key player in James Harden, send him to Philly, who he balling lights out right now with Embiid. They have 1-2 combo over there. And I'm scared for the Bucks because Embiid is stepping out, shooting threes, and he's one of the only people I know who can really defend Giannis. So
yeah, he's pretty much what they thought the Joker was going to do in the playoffs. Embiid is actually doing it.
Exactly. And he hit the game winner the other night. So when you're looking at the Brooklyn Nets, and they got all those pieces out, and Steve Nash is trying to fit basically squares into circles and triangles and make something look good, and you run into a buzzsaw like Boston, who, remember last year they got ousted by Brooklyn? Yeah. That's a whole nother ball game. That's a Southside Chicago, Morgan Park versus Simeon game in the 80s, baby.
I can't. I'll let it go after this. But the blame has got to go to Steve Nash. It's got to go to him.
Wow.
Because I can't accept that it's not his fault. Because I saw, and you remember, Coach, the years when LeBron graced Cleveland and stayed there, and you saw Coach Brown on the sidelines. You saw Coach Lou there with LeBron. They would have never got swept. Now, I know LeBron didn't make the playoffs this year. I understand that, and that coach did get fired, and he needed to be fired too. But there's no way that Brooklyn Nets team gets swept.
But you're looking at a different LeBron.
To go in there and sweep out the rest of that team. That's the team you're giving to Brooklyn. Really?
And Michael Gardis agrees with you. He says I think Steve Nash is garbage. Why are people trying to rationalize his terrible performance? Garbage. Wow.
Hey, the only thing I can say on that comment, Mike, is this: You know as well as I know that LeBron's situation in Cleveland and this situation in Brooklyn are completely different. Because LeBron is LeBron. Can't nobody stop him. He had a few pieces around him, but he's back home. Now, even though KD is close to the career because he's from DC, he's back in New York and whatnot. But, I don't think, again, that Steve Nash had his players. Now, the only thing I can really say that I'll give you credit on that is this. Your boy at home on the west side in the madhouse on Madison Street and Billy Donovan is ran into the same thing, but he's made something up with the Bulls, right?
Because he's a coach. Because he's a coach and he knows
Billy.
what he's doing, and Steve Nash doesn't know what he's doing. Coach,
Ben
Simmons,
experience.
you think Ben Simmons is going to stay?
That's experience, and that's what you get with a young coach with no experience, with superstars, as opposed to a veteran who got to put something together. Because we don't have no superstars in Chicago.
I'm sorry. I can't accept that because I watched Mark Jackson leave the Golden State Warriors and go to the booth, and I saw a former player go from the booth into coach that Golden State Warriors team straight to a championship.
Come on, Mike.
And you can't tell me that Mark Jackson's not a good coach. I know Mark Jackson's a good coach.
Yeah, he is.
I know the Warriors got a better coach when he.
I don't know, but you got to look at a couple things on that one. That's just like Bill Frieder back in 1989. I still hate Michigan today. That's like Bill Frieder gets his hand-me-down with Michigan, who beat us in '89, right, to put us out of the NCAA, and they go on to win. And he never won anything again, and then he got the Fab Five. So when you're looking at your situation that you just said, I agree with you, except Steve Kerr comes from the Zen Master, right, sitting up under Phil Jackson. Then he goes and sits on the bench under none other than Hayden out in Phoenix for a while. Then he goes in and gives him a team.
San Antonio, but then he sits in San Antonio.
Then he goes to San Antonio, and he got with Pop, and Pop put him on another level. So when he got that book in his hand, he was ready. I know Mark moaned and groaned about it, but Steve Kerr was ready. He couldn't have been coached any better than those three people, and he was ready.
Okay.
So Steve Nash is not ready.
Steve Nash is ready. Yes.
Steve Nash is ready to be a coach. So when Ben Simmons comes in there, they'll be good to go next year.
I'm thinking about Steve Kerr. Steve Nash, I still think Steve needs to I think what will help Steve out, Mike, truly, is if they can surround him with a great group of coaches on his backside. That he can
be a good coach if you surrounded me with you and like other professionals. I can do the job then. I mean, come on.
Well, wait a minute. Now, the Nets made the playoffs these last 2 years, right?
Right.
Because they were conscious. I mean, a conscious team can make the playoffs in the East.
And here's the bad part about it, Mike. You're messing with Durant's money. He gonna want out soon.
Oh, you think he'll leave?
Well, you gotta look. They bought him to get up out of Golden State. He only left Golden State because him and Draymond couldn't get along. Right, Mike?
I know they got played. I think that Durant wanted out of there to prove that he could win on his own, which he has now since proven that he cannot. Correct. I think he got to reevaluate his time in Golden State because the whole time that he was there, I kept hearing that he was in charge of that team and that was his team and they won only because of him. Now I see him with the Nets with an equally talented team, with a coach that is in his infancy coaching, and I see different results.
He's still on nipple drinking. Now think about it. Take our guy in Chicago and Billy Donovan. You leave him in Oklahoma City with Westbrook, with Harden, with Ibaka, with Kevin Durant, and the player they had coming in. I guarantee you Oklahoma have a ring by now.
I don't know because Harden can't get along with anybody, right? Because you got to ship him around. Westbrook can't get along with anybody. You have to ship him around. He was part of the disappointment in Los Angeles. Some of these great players don't seem to be able to play well with each other.
You know why, Mike? Because I just had this argument with my kids the other day, and the reason why that is that go back to what you and I talked about a while back. You know, we were talking about old school guys, and then some of these guys can play. We didn't worry about that. I listened to a thing the other day. Michael, no one really wanted to play with Michael. No one really wanted to play with Barkley. No one wanted to play with Bird. So those guys stayed in their places. Mike stayed in Chicago, and he just assembled multiple teams over multiple years and showed he can win no matter who you put around him. Bird
Right.
did the same thing in Boston, and so did Magic. So now, when they quote unquote, when Kevin Garnett and these guys hooked up in that late 1999, early 2000, and started this stuff, now these guys don't think that they can win a ring without it's like me, you, and Val. We're the trifecta right here. We're the superstars, right? So unless you go put somebody around you, they don't want the workload. And that's why I do like LeBron, only because outside that, he's going to basically, LeBron's trying to put those guys around him, but he's not getting no superstars no more because really the guys don't want to play with him no more. And now he figured that piece out. He figured he's not going to catch Mike. So the only thing he can really do is let me go put my name in the record books and go catch Kareem. So now I own the record. Now, here's a question for you, Mike. The question that was there this weekend, and Kevin put this out there, I want to see their opinions on this, because I'm an all Jordan. I don't care what LeBron do. If LeBron catches Kareem and becomes the all-time leading scorer in the NBA, does that make him the best player ever played the game?
Nope.
Why, Val?
Val said no. Val said no. So there's your answer.
Nope.
No.
Why you think? Why you say that, Val?
What have we been talking about? The players that are not able to play with other players, just kind of that knowing. I honestly wish that he had stayed in Cleveland and had some kind of loyalty, because that's the one thing that I most respected about Michael Jordan. Before anything was winning around him at that point, he stayed. And I don't know what kind of loyalty Jordan had, but he had the loyalty to say, no, I'm going to stick it out, because they did not start to actively win with a full situation in the team. And I think the keys were Phil Jackson and then the other players that came. They went to the playoffs in the 89-90 season, and then eventually, magically, we all saw what was happening. More right. Pippen was in place, so there was. My respect is to the team player that can stay and just work. You don't expect things to be given to you as a player. Work for it.
I'm gonna add one
with the people, please.
I'm gonna add one thing to that, Val. And I love everything you just said. And I'm gonna add one thing to that, which clears up, and hope it clears up with these young guys. The difference between that too was Michael did everything you just said, and he didn't get anything from the freaking Bulls. His money came from Phil Knight and Nike. So that's what a lot of people don't know. The underlying.
He got the money from the Bulls at the end. At the end, he got one of the first $30 million contracts. So
let me tell you, let me ask you, Mike. I want you to come work for me for 10 years, but on your 9th year, I'm gonna pay you your biggest contract. You gonna take that deal?
Today, some of the players right now, they actually should.
Today they would do it.
They should. Yeah.
But now
I can do it briefly. I can do it very quickly. I can tell you why. Because at some point, their brand is not just them. It is their brand and their team and that jersey. And they got to begin to understand that this hopping around from team to team, trying to assemble like they're like the Avengers or something. And we're going to go to this city, and now we're going to be the champions coming out of, I don't know, let's all go to Charlotte. That time has passed now.
I know.
Right now, Joel Embiid is so much Philly basketball. For him to leave would be a mistake on his part. And I think Philly ownership knows that's a problem.
Yep. Look at
Ja, look at Ja. Ja is Memphis. Ja is Memphis. And Memphis, I know you travel around in that area, Coach. Memphis loves that team, don't they?
They love him. They absolutely love Ja, and he's not a big guy. And the things he's doing remind you of the look. He's the Steph Curry that can jump like Michael Jordan. But I'm going to give you one more. Look at Giannis. If these people in the South, a lot of people don't really know, who wants to stay in Milwaukee, Mike? I know we 90 minutes up from the house on 94. But listen, Giannis said, I'm not going nowhere. And you know he could have left after they won that ring. He would have got paid to go. He could have possibly joined LeBron and Anthony Davis. He said, I'm staying in Milwaukee.
That is his team, just like the Warriors are Curry's team. That is Curry's team. And I think now with the debacle with the Nets, it proves now that that is, and that will always be Steph Curry's team. Yes, you can have KD come in there, but that doesn't take away the fact that it's his team. That's
Right.
Curry deciding to pass the ball to Durant. Okay, that's
Yep.
still his team. And when you have that kind of identity with a city, with longevity, that's how you make legends. That's how
Yeah.
you make stars. That's how you make
Yeah.
a brand. Just,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
hopping around from city to city, follow me, follow me. People tired of following these folks.
Well, the thing is, like Val
Tired of
just
it.
said, the only reason why LeBron want to go back to Cleveland, we talked about it a few weeks ago, is because he's trying to sell his son Bronny, and he's trying to say, "I'm gonna go back to Cleveland because I want to be that father-dad duo, that's kind of coach slash player slash whatever, whatever." And that's why he's trying to winnow his way out of that contract. Now, I don't know if you guys were listening the other day, and I meant to ask you at the top of the hour, well, first of all, have you seen the new show called The Pivot and Shaquille O'Neal's interview?
No.
I haven't yet. No, tell us.
You got to go check it out. I really like one of the best interviews from him in life. He talked about as a kid how his stepfather took the role of his real dad, and he was 20 years old, and he's finally getting ready to go to LSU, getting ready to go to NBA, and his real dad shows up at his door at 20
You talking
because he
about
now,
Shaq?
yeah, Shaq, because he's
Okay.
ready to go pro. But his mother, the one who made him try to have a relationship with him, but his stepfather, military, who raised him. And he was talking about how as he got older and got bigger and started to play, that because he wanted to stay in football, but he got taller and stronger to run a game, that whenever he would bring a trophy or ring or whatever, the old man would just put it down and set it down and wouldn't smile, wouldn't congratulate him. Said, "You got that one? You satisfied with that one? Go get another one." And he would come on and say, "Man, tonight I had a triple double." He said, "Yeah, but wasn't nobody guard you." So he had that work ethic in him outside of basketball. And because he was military, having to get up and do all these things, it was him who screwed up. Obviously, he was married to Sean. He had the kids. He was out there. He said, "I'm trying to
Mhm.
teach my daughters to do something completely different than, what I would do with my son." But the one thing I did do is that I was told, go get that degree, go get that other degree. And now he's invested in the businesses, and he's trying to show his kids other people because, he's doing a lot of philanthropy type things, man, which is incredible. And
Mhm.
he talked about that. He says, when he went to LA, excuse me, when he went to LA, he said he would never forget. He was getting ready to go to the Roxy and hang out. And Eddie Murphy showed up with them leather pants with the backside out, getting ready to go in. Magic was there. A couple other people was there. Bill Murray was there. Jack was there. And they made Shaq stand in line at 7'4". And when he finally got in, Eddie Murphy greeted him, was cool with him. Magic greeted him, was cool with him. Jack bought him a drink, sit down and talk to him. And he was like, "Man, why can't I get some love like this?" And he said, "Man," they looked and said, "You ain't did nothing. When you do something, you win, then you can get some love." And after that, the next day, he went to work. The rest is history. Up in the rafters, boom.
Well,
So putting in the work, putting in the work.
let's wrap it up. The I we got one more game here in Chicago. I think no, it's not in Chicago. It's going to be, where's it going to be?
It's
Yeah,
3-1. We're going back to Milwaukee. Yeah, we're going back to
It's
Milwaukee.
going back to Milwaukee. So they're
it's
gonna
done.
wrap
It's
it up.
done.
They're gonna wrap it up. Okay. So
Yeah, they
who are
wrapping it
you
up.
who are you predicting to go to the next level
I
for
got
the NBA playoffs?
I got Miami Heat right now. They are closing out Atlanta. I got them moving on.
Just
Uh,
happened. Yep.
I got Memphis definitely moving on. Even though Minnesota's up on them, I think they're gonna come back. Phoenix
Yeah.
and New Orleans come on later on tonight. And again, Mike, Phoenix gonna go ahead and close them out. So I got those guys moving on right now. So in the next round playoff, I got
Mm.
Phoenix and Golden State and Memphis moving on out there. And Miami, Milwaukee, Philly on the east side. Those three main characters, they're gonna move on. And I've got Philly and Milwaukee in the East playing for the Eastern Championship. Golden State and Phoenix in the West, with Milwaukee and Phoenix coming out both meeting each other in the finals.
You
All
got a
right.
Milwaukee Bucks, Phoenix Suns final.
Bucks, Phoenix Suns final.
All right, that sounds familiar. Sounds like we saw that last year. We might get a repeat, maybe a repeat.
We might
Maybe.
get a repeat, yeah. So, but anyway, Coach, let us know. Come back next week, and we'll get caught up some more. I mean, this has been a real education. I'm glad I was able to give just a little bit of an insight of what you all were talking about. Everyone, let's thank Coach Tony. Woo! He's here. He'll be back. I swear, I'll have my cap next week. I will.
Hey, Mike, well, she gonna wear the cap now, Mike. Once the Bulls going out to playoff, come on, man.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, how you gonna bring the cap if the Bulls get ready to go out?
All right. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Anyway.
Wow. So.
Oh my goodness. Oh, and one last thing. Kevin was saying, I wonder if LeBron will play his last season in Cleveland, then retire his jersey as a Cavalier.
It's very, very strong possibility of that. I think that's exactly what Coach Tony was talking about. That's likely gonna happen, and that'll be like a real knockout punch, almost like Mike Tyson on the airplane to an idiot. Just knock him right out.
Oh my gosh. And what I wanted to mention, I think just briefly, is good gracious, I went in the wrong direction. This guy is going to be hosting the Billboard Music Awards.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's right.
So hopefully nothing will break out or nothing will happen during his time of hosting the Billboard Awards.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the Billboards, we pretty much know who the winners are. That's done mathematically by sales. Okay. So we got a good idea on the Billboard Awards. Definitely. It's coming up. We'll tell y'all about it after. We'll tell you the what do they call them, the honorees, or whatever.
The honorees, the nominees,
some kind of weird language. Yeah. All right.
So that'll be in May. But we got some things coming up for you, Mr. Wamble. You got #Wamble Wednesday. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. What you gonna be talking about tomorrow?
We'll be talking about a little bit more about some of the science fiction things we touched on. I want to kind of discuss that because I do see it as a trend, and I think that it's interesting to kind of look at. So we're looking at African Americans, people of color, in science fiction.
All right, I'm loving it. And as I was saying up here, never miss an episode. Go ahead and hit the like button right now. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. And my goodness, and tomorrow we'll be presenting Seasoned, the series that will be on the audio podcast where we
dropping. It'll tomorrow.
Be tomorrow.
Right.
Yes. And so I want to thank some of my folks that I see. I see Dr. Jones is in the building. Daniel and Linda, thank you guys for joining us. And then, of course, Mark, who's in the chat, along with Mr. Springer and Jimmy out of Brooklyn. And, of course, I want to make sure that I do this before we leave. We have to say it, that tonight's episode is brought to you by Booked and Busy Bookkeeping Services. Go ahead and book and schedule a 30-minute consultation that's free today. Contact them at 862-251-8503 or go to bookedandbusybookkeeping.com. And Michael, what's your name again?
My name is not Val the Voice Johnson, but your name is. And another happy birthday wish to you as we talk about Interludes Extra, Talk on Tuesday with Val the Voice Johnson.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us on behalf of myself, Coach Tony, and Mr. Wamble. Have a great rest of your time here. Peace.